And we're back with I'm So Glad. Today we have a special guest with us, Mr. Worthington Moore, hailing all the way from Humble, Texas, mass communications major and track and field athlete. Mike, you didn't want to give a shout out to Humble?
Absolutely. I was trying to think. I thought you muted me. Take, I mean, getting tips from Dr. Cavill, but humble representing in the house. How you
Actually,
doing, Mr.
actually,
Moore?
he from the A. That boy from Atascocita.
He runs from
Oh,
Atascocita. I know. He also goes to my home church, Wheeler Avenue.
Oh, okay.
yes,
Okay.
Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church. Yes, I do regularly attend that. Switched to that starting in my high school year, and I attend that this very day.
All right. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Mr. Moore.
Well, I think everything kind of like in the bio that you addressed earlier. My name is Worthington Moore. I'm a communications major. I have a minor in political science. I run track and field. There's a little bit of other things that I do. I'm involved in several organizations here on the campus of Prairie View. I'm the president of NABJ. I'm also a segment producer for PVMU TV and specifically a show called Panther Sports Zone. A lot of other things I've helped out, I think last semester more specifically with the athletic department. So really a lot of things that I've done so far into throughout my career here being at Prairie View with athletics and just, Prairie View sports in general, because I really like to see Prairie View athletics and, the student athlete and the amount of, media attention and just attention in general improve.
Nice. Well, what is your specialty?
Mass communication. You mean like what do
I'm sorry,
I
like
On the
your
track.
your events, your events, your
Oh,
track and field
events.
events.
Oh, yes. So I'm a distance runner.
Okay.
So basically that means that anything from the 15, possibly even 800 up. So seeing as how it's now outdoor season, the event distance events that we have is the 800-meter run, the 1500-meter run, 3K steeple, but I don't do that. Other people do that. The 5K, and there's also the 10K, although that race is very long and it's only really run at SWAC itself.
Oh, okay. Okay. What is your favorite of those events?
Favorite, even though I don't really run it, I don't run it at SWAC, I would have to say the 800. It can be really fun, although I would also consider it to be the hardest of any race out there, because it's 2 laps. Anyone can run that first lap, it's just one. But that second lap, it really is very hard. And for anyone who has run it, they will tell you it's very difficult because you can start out fast, but then you have to worry about that, that second lap and just trying to maintain that speed and then coming up with like 200 meters to go. Your legs are tired, your arms are tired, basically everything in your body is screaming, please no, stop, get off the track immediately. But you have to continue anyways. And I like that aspect of it because for me, it truly brings out everything in me as a distance runner. I know that like coming up into like the back stretch, people have told me numerous times that I don't have the best form. I know this for myself, but I like, just bringing out everything in me within that last few stretches of that race. So I'd say the 800. 1500 is
800.
second.
Now, Worthington, you've been at this for a while. I've known you for quite a bit. So you've been, you were doing it at Atascocita. So what was the biggest transition going from doing it on the high school level in Atascocita, doing good, to now performing at the collegiate level? What's been the biggest challenge?
I would say that one of the biggest challenges, no parents. You're living not to say by yourself. I mean, you have a roommate with you, but there's not really that parental role that says, hey, you got to get up, go to practice. So you got to, eat food, you got to eat healthy and all that stuff. You really are, once you get to college, you make those rules and you make those decisions, a lot of them for yourselves. I think that coming from high school, senior year in high school, coming to here Prairie View my freshman year was a very tough adjustment just because my mom did a lot of those things for me. She made breakfast for me. She kind of, if I missed my alarm clock, she said, hey, it's time to get up, it's time to go to practice. She helped me with a lot of those things. But now you don't have your mom, you don't have your parents, you don't have your siblings, you don't really have that right next to you saying, get up, go to class, go to practice and all those other things. So coming here, it really was an adjustment. And you just have to do those things for yourself. So for me, it was difficult, and from that standpoint. But then after a while, after you see, okay, no one's going to do this for myself, I have to basically do this for me, and no one's gonna baby me. I'm an adult now. I think once you kind of like figure that out, the process of being a student athlete on the collegiate level is a lot more easier. It's a lot more clear, and you kind of just go from there.
Talk to us about how you actually got to Prairie View. I know coming from Atascocita and some of the schools in that district, um, HBCUs may not be on the
Yes.
forefront, or they were not on the forefront. I know particularly at Atascocita, some coaches may even push back at coaches who come to the school recruiting from
Mhm.
HBCUs. So talk about your recruiting experience, how Prairie View recruited you, and what did you think the first time you found out about Prairie View's interest in you and the potentially going to PV?
Well, I'd seen Coach Clay, Coach Chris Clay. He is a coach of the men's track and field. I'd seen him at a lot of my meets. He was there at when I was in high school. He was at the TSU Relays, which we just ran this past day. He was there for that race event. I mean meet. And he was there for a few others during track season. And he really just kind of constantly stayed on me and was saying, hey, what's going on with you, where are you in your looking towards colleges. So he was just really consistent about being there. If I needed any sort of help or just anything in general, he was someone that I could call. And I did make a trip up to here. I think it was sometime in February, March, before I declared myself to come to Prairie View and continue my athletic career in both track and field and in cross country. And I remember just being kind of like blown away by this sort of people that were here, because they're the same people that did help me my freshman year when I actually did get here. They were the same faces that just kind of helped me adjust. So it was really just mind blowing to see, okay, these are the people that go here. It really was a band of brotherhood. When I first got here, they really did help me out a lot. And I know you mentioned that part about HBCUs don't really come up a lot in that district, which I was part of in my school and everything like that. That's very true. My head coach, he kind of was iffy about me coming to an HBCU, coming to Prairie View. But at the end of the day, that was it was my decision, and it was something that I think I made a good choice in. And to kind of like go into that, why I did choose Prairie View over any other school, it really did at the end of the day come down to Prairie View offered me the most money. Maybe this is a fact that not a lot of student athletes have, but I came to Prairie View on a full academic scholarship, the Regents Student Merit Scholarship. And so that scholarship basically paid for all my academic needs, scholarship, I mean tuition, everything, housing. And so that, I mean, if we're talking about a full ride, that makes it so much easier. So no other school was offering that. TSU wasn't offering that. SFA, just any school nearby. So that kind of made the choice a lot easier at the end of the day.
Follow the money.
Yep. Exactly. So, all right.
So
Well,
Worthington, one thing I wanted to ask you, so when you think about all of the events, all what you've done so far at PV as far as track and field, what are you most proud of?
I am proud. I think I'm most proud of the fact that I stuck around and, I was able to compete all of my years here. There was a time, I think somewhere between sophomore and junior year, that I thought of, maybe not being on the team. And I'm so glad that I stuck it out, because there are several times when you just, for me as a distance runner, where you go out and you run, long, times. Like we're not just talking about 1 or 2 miles, but as a distance runner, you're putting constant mileage on your body. So let's just say 60, 70 miles a week. And it can be a lot. I mean, there are a lot of things that, once my whole collegiate career is over, there will be things that, being a student athlete and having that responsibility, it really does take away time from other things. So on the one hand, there's some things that I may never have been able to do because I was a student athlete. Case in point, spring break. I was here the whole time. Everyone on the track team was here for spring break. You don't get to enjoy spring break as other students may be, and that's been consistent all my 4 years. But I think that overall, I stuck it out because at the end of the day, I couldn't imagine what my life would look like just as a student, not a student athlete, just Worthington Moore, the student. And I couldn't imagine such a life like that. So I was able to stick it out. I continued running into my junior year, and, now my senior year. And I'm so glad that I have been able to, because the people that I run with that make up my distance team, Jamal, I know that y'all interviewed him a few episodes back. He definitely did help, me see, okay, just stick to it. And he was really that person for me that helped me realize and enjoy the fun of running and, just competing on a collegiate level. So not only him, but everyone else who was on my team just helped out so much. And I think that is probably the reason why I stayed for everyone else who was on that team, because if I wasn't able to, have a team like that, if it wasn't for them, and, the fact that running just really just makes up a big component of my life, I don't really know what junior senior year would have looked like.
Very, very, very.
Tell you what it would have looked like. You'd had less shoes to buy. I tell you that 60 miles a week, man. I don't drive that far.
So Worthington, you went to are you still a member of Wheeler? You still miss Frenchie's chicken? That's all I gotta ask.
Oh man. The thing is that I don't think that we actually went that often.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It's so, like, whenever we got out of church, it was kind of just, go to your car, and then kind of like drive home. I mean, for the first few weeks, months that we were there, maybe we went. But then afterwards, I was getting my driver's license, learner's permit, that sort of thing. And I was the one driving home. And maybe my mom wanted to go to Frenchie's, but I wanted to go home. So we didn't really enjoy Frenchie's that often. And just like the next moment that I'm there, like I just went to Wheeler during winter break, and, everything changed about it. The whole architecture, the structure of the building changed. And I realized that we gained a lot. The building looks great, but, Frenchie's is now not just, a few walks away. So you regret what could have been.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's the Frenchies in Humble, man, and they pretty good. You've been missing out.
I don't really go out that much. I know that there is, just one, right around the corner, but maybe I'll go to that next time I'm back home.
You mentioned that
60 miles a week. You think he eating French's chicken?
That's what I was going to say. He cares about what he puts
He
in
can
his body.
afford those extra calories running all those miles.
Don't
Exactly.
do it.
He'd be all right. You mentioned you don't have the time, and you can't imagine life as just a regular peon student as opposed to a student athlete. Talk about the time constraints that are involved with being a student athlete and the training. You actually run two sports, basically, as you mentioned, cross country and then track and field. So talk about those time constraints.
I think everyone as a student athlete, you kind of have those time constraints on you. The way that I would define it is that you have time, like everyone kind of like has time like within themselves in a day. A lot of the time you don't have the time in the right places. Say that someone says, hey, and this is for like last semester, because fall we generally train in the morning, but someone says, hey, you want to help me out with something in the morning? The answer to that is probably no, because you're practicing early in the morning, and then after that you have class, so you can't really help someone out, with something like that in the morning. And then, other times it's like you do have free time, and it's like late at night, and then nothing's really happening. But it's just like having those, moments of levity, that time where you can actually do things, that things don't work out. And then when people, want to do things, or, there is time to do some things, or somebody wants you to help out with something or other, you can't. So it's really just wild balancing act, especially with, being a student athlete. You're going to your classes, you're part of, several organizations, if that is something that you do. And sometimes it can just feel like every single day is just, front to back. There's not really a whole lot of space. And then, you wake up, and then you already have everything, scheduled in front of you. And then you go to bed, and you wonder, as you're going to sleep, how did that go by so fast? And you review everything, and there was just no space within that day to just do anything. And so, as a student athlete, you have certain blocks of the day that you can't, really move around. So you kind of have to do things within those spaces. So, yeah, being a student athlete at the end of the day is difficult. But that time management, you really pick up on that. So it's difficult. I mean, there's a lot of things I've missed out that I do regret. Parties that I will not miss at all. They've come and gone. But at the end of the day, I just, really just want to be able to do, be a student athlete, and do my responsibilities to my varying organizations. And if I miss out on a few things, that's fine. But at the end of the day, the work needs to get done.
That's quite respectable. I've never thought about that in terms of parties that they come and go.
You say, well,
Yeah.
there was that
Child.
one girl that I never could catch up with. Michelle in the white dress, if you're listening.
Parties they come and go. That sounds like a rap song.
Hey, Worthington, you talked about the uncertainty you had of continuing to play your sport just because of all the things that you mentioned. And then, of course, having to go through a COVID year and recovering from that. But now you're a SWAC champion. How does that feel?
It feels kind of, I don't want to say bittersweet. I mean, it feels great, obviously to win, SWAC championship. But the reason why it kind of like, doesn't have that same taste as maybe if I kind of have to go into this whole backstory. So last year, we won the men won the outdoor championship. And going into that, because I like, just, numbers and crunching them. So what I did was I created this whole Excel sheet with, people and their events. So I had like, okay, it's between us and Alabama State. So I did this, number crunching. I, listed out events in terms of distance, in terms of throws, in terms of sprints, relays, and everything like that. So I compiled the numbers, and I saw that at the end of the day, we were going to win. So I said, okay, we're going to win. So, and we did. And then I did the same thing for indoor, both men and women. I crunched the numbers in again, and I was like, okay, we're going to win. And then we won. So it's not to say that it was, I didn't feel like any sort of enjoyment, but I kind of saw what everyone was going to do. And we did that, and we won. So it's kind of like, speaking that into existence. And so I kind of had in my mind, we were going to do that, and we did. So sometimes it's just the knowing part that kind of like took it away. But if I didn't crunch those numbers, or if I didn't, create like this whole Excel spreadsheet of who's going to do this or who's going to do that, and, compare it with other teams, I think it would be a lot more, enjoyable about it. I think a lot of the thrill in winning a SWAC championship just comes in the not knowing part. Like sometimes it's like, you go into those last few events, it's like, okay, are we up on this other team? Can we win it? And then it's like, yeah, we can win it. But I did this, even before a lot of the events were run, and it was just, myself just over analyzing things. But, I saw that we were going to win, and we won. And so, yeah, so it's kind of bittersweet in a way.
That's
That
We
is
got a
impressive.
bunch of
sports
engineers on the
analytics.
call.
Sound like
Yeah, sports analytics at its best.
sound like a
Yeah.
future
It's definitely
SID to
sports
me.
analytics. I can't really do that for any other sport, but for track and field, because you kind of know what, based on people's results and everything like that, you can kind of say, okay, you can make certain sort of predictions, but in any other sport, like especially let's say like for basketball, you can't do that. You really can't. You
Don't
can't say
don't
like,
run from it. We got GMs. You can be a GM. We got GMs that do this all the time, and they get paid good money. Now they may not be winning championships, but you can throw your hat in the ring. You probably do
Yeah.
best.
Think about it. Think about it.
I think that's too. I think that's too much into the stats. Like this was just for me like surface level, and I knew my teammates and what they could do, and so I was just really just betting on my teammates, and that's really all it was depending on at the end of the day. So they were the ones that really they went out, they did the results, not to say like the regular season, but they did in all the meets before SWAC, and so I would just basing off of that, and everyone pretty much overall did their jobs, and that's how we won. And I just happen to know it just a little bit before everyone else.
So what is that spreadsheet saying for the 2022 season?
What is that spreadsheet saying for 22 season for outdoor, both men's track and field? So
Be in good shape.
yeah, we're definitely in good shape. So the women, they got first. They scored 133 points. Alcorn State, they were second. They had 101 points. But a huge bulk of Alcorn State, they got 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, and both the 5K and the 3K. So half of their points came from distance. And then on the men's side, we came in first. We scored 120 points, and then TSU, they scored 85 points. So if they're as they're 12 teams, including ourselves in the SWAC, and we won by 35 points. Because last year, Alabama State in the indoor, they won by 30 plus points, and that was with 7 teams. So 5 more teams, and we won by that much. I think that on the men's side and both the women's side, you can kind of, I think we're getting another one of these.
Mike, data points.
Okay. I like it.
All right.
Could y'all imagine being on the bus with Worthington? Yes. According to my documents here.
People were definitely asking you for the notes and the points in the spreadsheet and everything like that. People, I think I have that reputation on the team as now being that spreadsheet guy, which is kind of warranted.
So Mr. Moore has predicted the championship.
The data guy, the spreadsheet.
Data guy.
Man,
Sound like some folks in
got
Vegas. We looking
some Creole in you.
You got some data points of.
So are you
Crystal
a
ball.
pause up or pause down guy when you put that new ring on your finger?
I don't know, because for the men, we haven't gotten our rings yet. We're still waiting on them. But I think I'll know maybe a little bit closer to that ring ceremony. Hopefully we do get our outdoor. Hopefully we do get it before SWAC. But the men haven't gotten it yet, so I can't really tell you about that yet. But whenever we do get our rings, I'll
We'll
be sure
see.
to tell you. Yeah.
All
Let
right,
us know what
Mr.
you figure
Moore.
out.
Thank you, Miss. It has been a pleasure talking to you. If you could just let our
Yeah.
listeners know how they can catch your show.
Oh yeah. For PVMU TV and Panther Sports Zone. So on YouTube, and I think it's the same for both YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. It's called PVMU TV, just the overall channel. And then for YouTube, if you just type in Panther Sports Zone, not just one word, but like Panther Sports Zone, 3 words, you should be able to catch that. And so we have our show on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday when school is in session. So that's why there weren't any shows last week, but every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at around 5:30. And that's where we talk about PV sports news, news around the SWAC. And, we bring in a student athlete or someone that is a student or has anything that deals with sports here on the campus of Prairie View.
Love it.
Awesome. Awesome.
All right.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for joining us. We
You're welcome.
can't wait. I can definitely tell you have an amazing future ahead of you, young man.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yes.
much.
He ready.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
He
you.
ready.
He ready.
All right.